But let's start with this weekend. And let me piggyback off something I said on Friday. And I have just kind of a motto in life. High-level people do high-level things. It's why I was not going to put Drew Brees 6 feet under. He was not going to lose his locker room. He was not going to be fired from NBC. His resume was way too long to go, yeah, I think he'll figure this out. I think he'll end up on the right side of the ledger. Several days later, he's getting standing ovations on Twitter. Of course. I think the thing we all need to do with Twitter sometimes is just take a deep breath, or social media. Not everything is so emotional in the moment that it's going to ruin people's lives. Now, sometimes it will. You know, I'm not saying that everyone is going to get the same latitude and the same amount of time to respond or to react. Your resume, what cowards say, your life resume should matter. Like Drew Brees, if someone shows you who they are, believe them. Like we've had 15 plus years of seeing who Drew Brees is. I was confident that he would find a way out of it. And now it feels like he's out on top. He's one of the league's spokesmen. He wrote or a tweet or an Instagram at Donald Trump. One thing I think happened this week is when the players, and I know Peter King and Albert Breer wrote about it, is that the players, some of the most famous players, from the Honey Badger to Patrick Mahomes to Michael Thomas, I think Michael Thomas kind of led the charge, and a guy with NFL media was in charge of it, put together a video, a Black Lives Matter video. It was really powerful. It was really well done. And kind of putting the NFL's feet to the fire. And I think the NFL, like the number one reason Colin Kaepernick got blackballed, and he did get blackballed, like you can't deny it, is because of money. That period when Kaepernick was kneeling, they started losing ratings. And no league cares more about their ratings than the NFL. Because like most of us that are playing the stock market, we only want it to go up, up, and up. And for a year, I guess it might have been kind of 2, definitely like a year and a half, the ratings started going down. And right or wrong, they blamed it on Colin Kaepernick and the kneeling. And listen, I've said over and over, I don't care if you kneel. I don't care what you do. I understand it's well documented that they're not kneeling in protest of the military. They're kneeling against police brutality, social injustice. It's clear. We talked about this on Friday. I get that. I would imagine most of you listening get that. There is a percentage of people, though, who don't get it, who don't understand that, and will be turned off by the NFL. We've seen it before. Now, will it be less this time? I don't know. But those people do exist. They are human beings that watch the NFL. And the NFL, what they truly care about, even more than people going to the games, is people sitting on their couch and consuming their product on Thursday night, on Sunday all day, and then on Monday night. That is their number one business goal, is to get you to watch football and watch it, a lot of it. And they've done a pretty good job. And they think that kneeling, or they did think that kneeling, maybe they still know, forces people to not watch. I'm unfazed by it. I would imagine many people listening, if you're a big football guy, you're unfazed by it. Clearly people were. Roger Goodell had no choice on this one. I'm not trying to diminish the video that he put out, but it was pretty clear where this boat was headed. It was going to be the players who were all kind of coming together pretty universally, especially once Drew Brees kind of pivoted. Everyone was kind of behind him. The Black Lives Matter movement that was really, really powerful all over the country. The peaceful protests all over the place. That the NFL could not be at some divide. And Roger Goodell, which is kind of unfair, he feels like the guy that's anti the players. Really, he's just answering for the owners. Now, I read and heard that the owners didn't even know he was going to make this video. But Goodell is kind of this peon widget used in this whole grand scheme of things to take all the heat off the owners who just want to keep making money. Now, Roger Goodell got out in front of it because the moment players start talking, we're going to kneel, and I think it's pretty, you don't need to be working in the league office to know. I'd imagine the majority of the league is going to be kneeling come week 1 and potentially for the entire season. The kneeling is going to be all over the league. I expect players or coaches to kneel. A lot of people are going to be kneeling. It's going to be a big, big story. And if the NFL did not actively come out and say that they are going to support it, they're going to be there hand in hand, it would feel like a racial divide between the league's office, which is really the owners, and the players. And they could not have that because Donald's going to be doubling down. This is an election year. He rides this kneeling thing because clearly he thinks or he knows to his voting base, check the box, like that's a big thing for them. And he's going to hammer it home that you kneeling, anti-American. Again, I don't think that. People do. And I think sometimes we struggle with, like, are we really looking for diversity of thought, or do we want everyone to think alike? Like, you are allowed in this country to think differently. And if it bothers you, I do get it. Again, doesn't bother me. I could not give a shit any less. Like, in terms of, I don't correlate the two. But Donald's going to go all in on it. And he's already been tweeting about the kneeling, about taking shots at Roger Goodell. And I think what the NFL needs to do is kind of almost pigeonhole themselves or pivot almost against Donald Trump. And that's kind of what it feels like. I think the NFL would pay a substantial amount of money to get him out of office. Not because the majority of their owners and Roger Goodell, and I'd imagine a lot of players, vote on the right side of the ledger. And it's usually financially based. It's not. I'm not giving you like a political science discourse here, but one side likes taxing rich people more than the other side. So if I was making 10, 20, 30 million dollars, or some of these businesses, it's not that complicated why this happens. But Donald Trump has now become a major pain in their ass because he constantly tweets about them when this situation comes up. He constantly interjects himself into this situation. And the NFL did not have a choice once the players and really the George Floyd and everything became what it became, and as it should, to end racial injustice in this society and push for change. Well, the players, they were all not only going to come out pretty heavily as they did, and because it's so easy to communicate now with even guys that you don't play for, they mobilize so fast. And the videos, and then Roger Goodell kind of doubled down. They're against this president now. And this is not your normal president because he's always tweeting. And everything he says becomes a major story. And this is one story that he just won't let die. So the NFL has kind of shown, F you, Donald. We don't care what you think. We're in this to make money, and deep down, we would like to get rid of you. Because right now, you cause us more problems than benefits. I think it's really that simple. The majority of our players are black. Every time that you do this, it feels like it's a fight or you're coming after them, right or wrong. That's how it feels for them. And I give Roger Goodell credit for making that video. Whether you can think it's hollow, whether you can think it's fraudulent, that's up to you. But he had to do it because he had to show that this is not going to be some racial divide. We are on the side of the players. Now, I do think it's going to be a fascinating watch because if the media could choose, and the media that covers the NBA, or I mean the NFL and definitely the NBA, but just as a whole, like we've seen studies done, they are extreme left-wingers. If they could choose, the entire country would be kneeling. Like if the fans are allowed in the stands come the fall, everyone would have to kneel at the national anthem. But that's not real life. And I think the NFL, while they had to push all their chips into the middle of the table on this one, probably internally, because ratings are so important to them, it pays the bills, they have this new CBA signed, they want to get these TV deals done, are probably on edge to know how this is going to turn out. And I think in a perfect world, the NFL would have just been indifferent because all they, do they care about their players? I don't know, probably not that much. They just care about making money. Let's just call a spade a spade. But now they're on the player side, and they're on the anti-Donald Trump side, and they're on the pro-kneeling side. And clearly, like I said, I think we all can agree there's going to be heavy kneeling come this fall, that if the ratings gets weird, it will be interesting to see how the league and the owners, because the owners will push him, if they pivot at all. Will they stay with this stance? I would guess they do, and just try to help fund and get Donald out of office. Because from Drew Brees to Roger Goodell to all their players, his constant tweeting and negativity out the league is, one of the things that, in a perfect world wouldn't be there. No president's going to be tweeting about how the NFL is screwing up. They just won't be, at least for the foreseeable future. But he will. And I think their worst nightmare, if all these guys keep kneeling, him getting reelected and just for the next 3 or 4 years, this constantly being a discussion. And I think that's one of the great unknowns right now. And I think if you could poll the NFL league office, including Roger Goodell, which I would imagine most people would be like, oh, yeah, he's just a Republican. He desperately wants to see Donald lose and get out of office come this fall. What's up, everybody? My name is John Middlekoauff, and I host a show for Colin Cowherd called 3 and Out on his podcast network. You can subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast. I worked in the NFL as a scout for Andy Reid and Howie Roseman, and I've been talking about football for the last 7 years. If you like your football talk, raw and unfiltered, no BS, I'm your guy. Subscribe to 3 and Out right now.